How do you destroy a bomber that flies too high to reach, too fast to catch, and is protected by more than a dozen deadly machine guns? Bringing down a B-29 with conventional aircraft was no easy task. So the Japanese tried something radical. They removed a full-sized 75mm anti-aircraft gun from its ground carriage and installed it in an airplane. And so, the Ki-109 Interceptor was born. An aircraft designed to shoot down American B-29s before their defensive gunners could return fire. On paper, the idea seemed brilliant. The Ki-109 could theoretically destroy a B-29 with a single hit. But first, it had to achieve that hit. But before we continue, this video is sponsored by World of Warships. I love games, and I have to admit this one completely sucked me in. For the first time, I could actually command warships that until now I had mostly known from books. And I have to tell you, firing the main guns of a battleship is so much fun. And of course, as a pilot, I had to try the aircraft carriers and their airstrikes. The attention to detail and historical accuracy are incredible. The updated maps, water, lighting and weather looks great. And actually, I spent quite a bit of time just looking at the ships and all the details. World of Warships is a free-to-play online multiplayer game with destroyers, cruisers, battleships, aircraft carriers and submarines. You can play solo or with friends in divisions, and monthly updates bring new ships, nations, events and cosmetics. If you'd like to try it, use my link below and the code IMPACTFORCE. New players will get 20 days of premium, the Japanese cruiser Tenryu, a commander and a port slot, with even more rewards as you progress. And by the way, if you play on console, World of Warships is also available as World of Warships Legends. Now back to the Ki-109. By the end of 1943, Japan knew it would soon face a new kind of threat. The Americans were preparing to deploy the Boeing B-29 Superfortress, a strategic bomber capable of carrying several tons of bombs across thousands of miles. It flew at around 30,000 feet and was protected by remotely controlled 50 cal machine gun turrets. Japanese fighters could reach the B-29's altitude, but at those heights their engines lost power, reducing speed and climb performance. Pilots had only seconds to close in, fire accurately and escape the bomber's defensive guns. The Japanese army therefore began searching for a weapon that could destroy a B-29 from much greater range. On November 20th, 1943, Mitsubishi was ordered to develop a specialized interceptor based on the Ki-67 bomber. The original concept called for two aircraft operating together at night. One would illuminate enemy bombers with a 40cm searchlight, while the other attacked from below with two upward-firing 37mm cannons. But as American raids shifted to daylight, the idea was abandoned. Army test pilot Major Hideo Sakamoto proposed a simpler solution. A single Ki-67 armed with a full-sized 75mm anti-aircraft gun. He believed one shell could destroy a B-29 from about 5,000 feet away, beyond the bomber's most effective defensive range. In January 1944, the concept was approved, and the Ki-109 became a daytime interceptor. The first two Ki-109 prototypes were converted from existing Ki-67 bombers. The glazed bombardier's nose was removed, the cockpit rebuilt, and a 13-foot Type 88 anti-aircraft gun installed along the fuselage centerline. The gun occupied the second pilot's position, leaving room only for a loader. Although the firing mechanism was converted to electrical operation and spent cases were automatically ejected, every new round still had to be loaded by hand. The Ki-109 carried just 15 rounds and could fire about one shot every 3 seconds. And because the gun had no horizontal traverse, the pilot aimed by pointing the entire aircraft at the target. Firing trials showed that the Ki-109 could withstand the enormous recoil, while retaining handling characteristics similar to the original Ki-67. The real challenge was aiming. On the ground, the Type 88 was operated by a full-gun crew using rangefinders and a mechanical fire control computer. In the air, all of that was replaced by a single pilot using nothing more than a simple Type 3 telescopic sight used by dive bombers and his own judgment. While ground stationary targets were relatively easy to hit, striking a simulated towed aerial target proved far more difficult. Even so, the results were promising enough that Mitsubishi received an urgent order for 44 aircraft in October 1944. But before the additional aircraft could be completed, both prototypes were sent into combat. Beginning in November 1944, they attempted to intercept B-29s near Fusa. During the first mission, Sakamoto climbed to approximately 30,000 feet. He expected a formation of 30 or 40 bombers flying roughly 3,000 feet below him. When he found them, he entered a shallow descent and approached a group of 5 B-29s. The shells were fitted with time fuses set for about 5,000 feet. They did not necessarily have to strike the aircraft directly. In theory, they could explode nearby and damage it with fragments. Sakamoto fired approximately 10 rounds. None produced any visible result. The B-29s increased power and began to pull away. At this altitude, the Ki-109 could not maintain enough speed. Its two engines produced 1900 horsepower each during takeoff, but without effective turbocharging, they lost power as the aircraft climbed. The Ki-109 had a weapon with sufficient range, but it lacked the performance required to reach and maintain a good firing position. During the second interception, Captain Otsuka attacked the formation head-on. The closing speed was much greater, the time available for aiming was much shorter. Once again, no hits were achieved. This time, the B-29's defensive gunners returned fire and struck the Ki-109's left wing. The aircraft nevertheless returned to its airfield. There is no reliable evidence that the Ki-109 ever shot down a B-29. Meanwhile, the war was changing. B-29s shifted to lower altitude night raids, and P-51 Mustangs from Iwo Jima began escorting them over Japan. Production was cancelled in March 1945. Of the 44 aircraft ordered, only 20 were completed, bringing total Ki-109 production to approximately 22 aircraft. The Ki-109 never succeeded as a B-29 interceptor, but its enormous gun proved much more effective against slower targets. During maritime trials in 1945, it reportedly destroyed a landing craft with a single shell, and sank a larger vessel with 4 hits. The Ki-109 was then intended to help defend Japan against the expected Allied invasion. But that invasion never came. After the war, one aircraft was painted black and loaded aboard the American escort carrier USS Core. It is not known whether the Americans later flew it. No example survives today. The Ki-109 is often described as a desperate attempt to install an absurdly large weapon inside an aircraft. But the gun worked. The real problems were poor high-altitude performance and the enormous difficulty of hitting a fast-moving bomber. Japan created a weapon capable of destroying a B-29 with one shell, but not an aircraft capable of consistently placing that shell on target. That's it for today. If you like this type of presentation and would like to see more, please leave a like or comment and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.